The UFC opened the Apex in 2019. It was a response to COVID and the restrictions. They couldn't host events with crowds anywhere in this country, so they were going overseas to Fight Island. But that wasn't making economical sense. You couldn't fly your entire crew to the other side of the world every single week. So the UFC built their facility. The UFC said, we're going to host events here. And we're going to control the entire environment. We don't need a whole bunch of people in here. And that's how we're going to push this product to the fans. The result were the UFC Vegas events. The result was also the skyrocketing of UFC's popularity. It was the only sport back for a large chunk of time. And this card is UFC Vegas 100, the monumental event. I think most of us are over the Apex as a whole, even though we appreciate events every single week, especially during COVID when we really weren't allowed to watch other sports. But UFC Vegas 100 should be a monumental event. This is kind of a big deal. It's a big number. It represents the years that we have been watching UFC in the new era. But we don't have the greatest card here. We do have 13 fights. We have a pretty solid main event. It's not the greatest card in the world, but there are some really fun fights on this card, and I'm going to break down every single one of them. My name is Angelo. This is We Want Picks. I'm going to break down every single fight and my bets for UFC Vegas 100. Before we look forward to UFC Vegas 100, let's spend 10 seconds to talk about UFC Edmonton. This is the thumbnail. If you want to watch my full recap and the Home Alone face, you can do so. This is the thumbnail. The video's on the channel. I recorded it at like 12:30 at night last night, immediately following the event. It was an interesting event overall. A couple of really fun fights, a couple of really close decisions. Here's a warning. If you are easily triggered, and if you want to live in a vacuum and only hear things that you agree with, don't watch this video. Listen, I watch the fights. I give you my opinions on the fights. People are very triggered. That might be my most triggering video. And it is literally people flipping out because they disagree with my opinion on a fight that already happened. It's insanity. There's one gentleman who has watched this show, comments on a good amount of stuff, called into the call-in show once. And I said, well, I think that Series Garrett Armfield fight was pretty close. You could definitely give it to Armfield, but I would not call it a robbery. Those are my exact words. I said, it really comes down to how much you care about control versus actually doing something. Garrett had some good takedowns, didn't do anything with him. Siri threatened some submissions. This guy could not wait. Instantly, you just lost. Like, typing like this for sure. Definitely had a cigarette. You just lost a loyal subscriber. How could you not say this is a robbery? I'm out of here. Okay. Other people commented similar to my thoughts, meaning I wasn't the only person on the planet that was like, yeah, it was a close fight. I could see giving it to Siri. Then that gentleman, the you just lost, went on to comment 20 more times under other people's comments about other fights on my channel after leaving over and over and over from 1 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock in the morning. Comment. If you guys are easily triggered, if you can't control yourselves, if you only want to hear people that agree with every single thing that you think, don't watch this video. Don't watch the recap video. It will 100% be the most triggering video I do then. Sometimes we disagree. That's what makes talking about these fights incredible. This is a video clip of Youssef Zalal shouting out Jacob, the other half of this channel. Got a shout out from Youssef. Youssef went in there, smoked Jack Shore, close first round, smoked Jack Shore in the second round, got on the microphone and shout out Jakey Boy. I'm going to play it for you.
And shout out to Jacob. We pick him. We want you. Let's go. We pick him. Let's go.
Yeah, he botched it, right? Pick'ems. Jacob from We Want Pick'ems. But he's talking to Jakey Boy. Jacob and Youssef talk quite a bit on the interwebs. He joined our call-in show. Guy couldn't be nicer, couldn't be cooler. The fact that he even thought of Jacob in that moment is incredible. Think about that. He was cut last year from the UFC. Strung together a couple of wins, gets a short notice call-up. Has looked superhuman since then. 3 wins in a row, 3 submissions in a row. He just smoked Jack Shore. He's riding high, feeling great. Base of the safety parlay just hit. And he had to shout out Jakey Boy. So Youssef, that was incredible of you. It also goes to show you how much people really enjoy Jacob and his company. And I could vouch. The dude's a good dude. Everything Jacob does and says is sincere, unless he's obviously doing a bit on the interwebs. But that was awesome. That was a really cool thing to see. I think that was our first ever official shout out in a UFC fight. So this isn't going to quite be our guru moment when he blew up, but we'll take it. Appreciate you, Youssef. And I appreciate him for more than one reason, because he was half of the successful safety parlay. We did well. UFC Edmonton, we'll turn that into a remix. UFC Edmonton was a successful card for us. And this is a theme. I don't know how we're doing. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know how we're doing it. 9 of the last 10 events up money. I don't know how we're doing it. The ROI is the most important. When you look at success, the ROI is the most important number. Anybody can risk $200,000 to win $100 and be like, I'm up $100. But when you're risking only 3.5 units and you're still putting up a profit, the ROI number is what matters. 14% ROI from me. Jakey Boy was on a heater last night, 41% ROI from him. And the combined success was a 33% ROI and a little more than 4 units of net profit. I don't know how we keep doing it, but that safety parlay, I'm trying not to brag about the safety parlay, because there was a point in time where I had a whole slide dedicated to the safety parlay, the beacon of stability. And while all of those things continue to be true, what the problem with the safety parlay is when it misses, which it will miss. Nobody hits every bet every week all the time forever. When it misses, people lose their freaking minds. Nobody has the ability to look at it and be like, oh, all these other bets hit. The safety parlay in reality is just one bet. They lose their minds. So I'm trying not to go crazy with like, oh, look, but it's getting harder and harder for me not to brag about it, because it's like 5 in a row. The last 4 safety parlays were plus money. That is, the fact that I'm putting the word safe on a plus money bet is crazy for Big Ange. But UFC Edmonton was a great card for us. If you want to unlock all the picks, the bets, the tools, and everything else, it's freaking $10 for an entire month. If you have watched these videos for the last 3 months, you're up huge, huge. WeWantPicks.com, click Become a Member. You're going to get UFC Vegas 100, UFC 309, UFC China, a whole month's worth of events. WeWantPicks.com, click Become a Member to the top. We also had the best DraftKings ownership projections on the planet last night as well. If you play DraftKings Fantasy, you know how important these numbers are, and you know that week in and week out, we have the best ones on the planet. Our competitors in this space, the DFS space, the massive companies with millions of dollars of investments, don't come close. Never come close to us with these numbers. I actually had a DM from somebody that you could tell this is an intelligent person that does their own stuff, because he was like, how are you getting these numbers? Like, how are your DraftKings ownerships so good? Are you doing this? And he listed out a bunch of formulas. And I was like, it literally just can't tell you. This is proprietary. Like, there are custom formulas here that have been designed over years to come up with these. I'm not telling anybody how the hell we do it. $10 a month. They are preloaded into the DraftKings Optimizer. Premium membership isn't just copy-paste bets. While those are very successful, a lot of you want to do your own research. And the Data Analyzer is a tool that will help you do any research that you want to do. There's a full tape index in there, meaning you can watch historical fights of any fighter on the card. You also have interactive data. You can add filters, you can sort filters, you can stack filters, and this is built out for the rest of the year. So these are future events, not just this week. You're going to get the line movement tracker, opening odds, current odds, win probability, line movement for every fighter on every card. You're going to get the prop hunter, a curated set of data specifically designed to help you find prop bets. You're going to get more than just me, Handsome Jake. Artem is giving you his PFL, Bellator, LFA, the regional shows, those picks and bets. And then we have an artificial intelligence that is being designed and honed in, that is picking fights at a pretty good accuracy, only using historical data. WeWantPicks.com, click Become a Member. Every single freaking thing, $10 an entire month. We talked about the UFC and the Young LA drop. Young LA, they support us, big supporter of this channel. They did a collab with the UFC. They dropped a whole collection of stuff. I unboxed a bunch of it in the vlog. And if you want to send something, here's the address. Let me open this second half of the Young LA drop. A whole bunch of cool t-shirts. We'll do the rest of this in the UFC 309 vlog, but this is the Conor McGregor shirt. We got a Hezbollah shirt. We got a whole bunch of stuff. And we got letters. So if you want to send something, anything from a letter to a package, this letter is written out to Angelica. I can't wait to see what the hell's in here. Angelica. Here is the address, though. We Want Picks, P.O. Box 406 in Prosper, Texas. You got a small business you want us to shout out? 100%. You support us, we will support you. Send something to that address. P.O. Box 406 in Prosper, Texas, 75078. How long was that intro? 10 minutes? 100%. I'll get a comment. Bro, I'm a premium member already. I don't need to hear the pitch. This is crazy. First of all, this video is chaptered. And the beauty of chapters is you can skip ahead, you can go behind, go exactly where you want to go. Second of all, The funniest part about that comment, and I don't mind that comment, that person is a premium member, which means they saw the pitch at one point in time, was like, yeah, you know what? Let me sign up. It's freaking $10. What could I lose? And they signed up and they're doing well and things are going well. Now he doesn't want to hear the pitch. I get it, man, but it's working. We got almost 4,000 of you. I appreciate every last one of you. I don't know how to more sincerely express that. This is about as normal as I get. Genuinely. It is astonishing what we have been able to do over the last couple of years. And it's literally because of you guys. So I thank you all very, very much, even the ones who get triggered over my post-fight reactions. Opening up the UFC Vegas 100 fight card, we have Tresean Gore taking on Antonio Trocoli. Tresean Gore coming back after a little bit away, a couple of years, in fact. And he's an interesting guy to break down because the guy only has 6 professional fights, but there are some skills in there. He's a heavy-handed guy. He comes forward, good wrestler. He hit a bit of a slump in his first UFC fights because he wasn't wrestling at all. He was gun-shy, just sitting there holding his hands. But then he was able to get his first official UFC win when he went back to his roots. He started wrestling. He had a nice submission win over the insanely good, the durable, the makes weight and is very reliable Josh Frem. And he had 3 takedowns. And if that's what he's going to do in this fight, he could have some success. He was actually supposed to fight Bo Nickel at one point. And ironically, he had to pull out. But the ironic part is they tried to rebook it for a couple of months after that. And he was like, no, I got to fight sooner. I need to fight. I got to be busy. He didn't fight for 2 years. So I don't know what that was about, but kind of missed the bag there. He's taking on Antonio Trocoli. Antonio Trocoli, crazy tall. 6'5". For middleweight, that's very tall. He's a long guy. He comes forward. He'll strike with you. Once that distance is closed, he's going to look to grapple. He doesn't look like he has a ton of power. I mean, he doesn't throw like he's got crazy power, but he's got plenty of knockdowns and knockouts because of that length and his ability to hit you while being so far outside the pocket. Takedowns aren't good old-fashioned wrestling takedowns, lots of trips, uchimata, stuff like that. Once he gets you to the ground, he's an aggressive grappler. He'll use that length to lock up chokes. He's coming off that insanely short notice loss to Shara Magomedov, where he had to fly to the other side of the planet. He had to cut all the weight, do all the things on literally like 3 days' notice. And his boxing looked good in that fight, but he had no head movement. Ultimately, he gassed. But I'll give him a pass. I'll give him a pass on that because those circumstances were kind of crazy. What the hell is Tresean Gore doing as an almost 2-1 favorite? What am I missing? This guy is almost a 2-1 favorite. He hasn't fought in 2 years. He only has 6 professional fights. Not that good to begin with. What am I missing? Antonio Trocoli is the pick. He's bigger. He's more skilled. He's more experienced. He's better trained. He has the hotter girlfriend. Literally everything. I have a half a unit on him at plus 145. And if you're wondering who his girlfriend is, it's Mackenzie Dern. That takes us to Gaston Bolanos taking on Cortavious Romious. I love saying Gaston Bolanos. It just flows. He looks like a Gaston. Like Gaston. Like Gaston. Anybody who has little kids knows what that song, or you're from the 90s, knows what that song is. Anyway, Gaston Bolanos. Solid striker. Good Muay Thai. Full Muay Thai background, actually. He's got good power, a willingness to engage. His claim to fame is a Muay Thai world champion. Handful of MMA fights, a whole bunch of spinning back elbows. And he's been doing those spinning back elbows in Muay Thai and in MMA. He does have some grappling holes. Those can be exploited, but you have to get through his guard. He's got a pretty good guard to work in your takedowns. He is coming off that knockout loss to Marcus McGee, where he fell behind in the striking and then unfortunately had no backup plan whatsoever. He's taking on Cortavious Romious. Solid grappler, decent striking, good power, heavy kicks. He doesn't throw well in combinations, but he does throw really hard and move forward. His takedowns are solid. He'll do a good job shooting and then re-shooting. When he hits the ground, he's going to land some strikes and then look for actual submissions instead of just hanging out for control time. He's coming off that redemption win on the Contender Series that earned himself a UFC slot. And this is a tough fight. I'm actually a little torn here because Gaston Bolanos is very good. He's very dangerous. But Romious is probably the more well-rounded of the two. But he's chinny. And Gaston hits hard as hell. Ultimately, I'm going to go with the more well-rounded guy. I just got to lean on the guy that has multiple paths to victory here. That's going to be Cortavious. But we have seen him in this octagon, in the Apex, unconscious in under 1 minute. So no clue what the odds are. This is a brand new fight. They just added this. We don't have odds for it yet. But it doesn't matter because I'm not going to bet on this fight no matter what. It's going to be a fun fight. Should be exciting, but I can't spend my money here. There's too many holes. And if you're like, Angelo, why you need to bet more? Go back to the fucking third slide or whatever the hell it was where it showed that we were up money. And then in future slides, I'm going to show you that I'm at up money 9 of the last 10 cards. And that's because you got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them. That takes us to Melissa Mullins. I don't know if she's looking at me or looking at you, but we got Melissa Mullins taking on Klaudia with a K, Sygula. Melissa Mullins, powerful, accurate striker. She does have the composure of somebody with far more fights than she actually has. Her offensive striking is clean, and it can be impressive, but her head movement and her striking defense absolutely lacks. She'll work in the clinch. She'll work while at range. She'll look into grapple as well. She's technically a BJJ world champion. That is an accomplishment that she has. But I have never seen anything in her skills that would indicate that that is true. Her takedowns aren't the best. Most times they're not even needed, but she does work them in and then control from top. She's coming off that finish loss to Nora Cornole. She's taking on Klaudia Sygula. Powerful striker, not afraid to engage. She prefers to dance around and then find the clinch where she's going to throw uppercuts and knees. She's got heavy hands, good volume. She can grapple as well. But the wrestling is not great. Her get-up game isn't great either. She tends to hang out looking for submissions instead of creating room and scrambling. Therefore, Melissa Mullins should win here. She's going to be the better grappler. She's got a ton of power on her side of the striking. But if she cannot get the takedowns and she ends up in the clinch, Klaudia can do some very real work and steal some minutes. Ultimately, Melissa Mullins is going to be the pick because I think she's going to be too strong, too physical, and Claudia's not going to be able to defend the takedowns. So we are going to go the Mullins side here. I wish the line was closer. She's kind of a wild favorite in this fight. Then we have Cody Stamann taking on Damon Blackshear. This should be a very fun fight as well. I trashed this card when I opened it. I was like, UFC Vegas 100, it's a mediocre card. There's some good matchups. It's not the biggest name recognition fight card. Not a lot of fights that even matter for the respective division. But there's some good matchups, some fun matchups, and this will be one of them. Cody Stamann's a really well-rounded guy. He's been competing in wrestling and boxing since he was a kid. He has wrestled at every single level, including in college. He started boxing at just 16 years old. He's a good technical striker. He sets a nice pace, but he doesn't really have that raw one-punch knockout power. He's averaging more than 2 takedowns per fight. He has a 76% takedown defense, and he's coming off that decision loss to Taylor Lapilus, where he had a takedown, but he also missed 5 others. Taking on Damon Blackshear. Athletic striker with impressive speed and power. He can grapple as well. He has takedowns in pretty much all of his UFC fights except one. That was his last one where he was knocked down in 18 seconds. He has solid volume in his strikes. He's got technical boxing, clean takedowns. He does have 4 losses. But if you look at those 4 UFC losses, they are quality losses to very good opponents. That most recent one I mentioned, 18-second knockout to the ridiculously powerful Montel Jackson. Damon is just the better fighter here, in my opinion. He's got the far better striking, even though Cody's been boxing for a very long time. Damon is faster, and he's more than just hands. He does a nice job mixing in the wrestling as well, and he should win here. He is, however, 2-4 in the UFC, and he doesn't have the high-quality wins that would suggest he should be a 3-1 favorite. His losses are quality. The 4 people he lost to are very good fighters, and I think all of them would beat Cody as well. But we haven't really seen Damon with that key win over a division staple like a Cody Stamann to say, Damon should be a 3-1 favorite here. I think he wins. I think Cody is likely going to get outstruck and then start shooting sloppy takedowns, but there's no way I can bet on that. Cody's a gamer. He can fight anywhere. The pick is Damon. I'm going to leave the bets alone unless we get some good money on Cody Stamann at plus 3.5. Cody's a guy that can be durable. Cody could steal around here. So if we're going to get some good plus money on plus 3.5, I might place a bet on that. If you don't know what plus 3.5 is, you're basically betting the spread. You're buying points on the judges' scorecard. So if Cody can win a single round on all the judges' scorecards, you'll get paid. Split decision loss, you'll get paid. So we'll take a look when those drop. If you're a premium member, make sure you've linked your Discord for alerts. We've got something in store for you. We got a nice little treat coming up. In the meantime, Discord alerts, you'll be notified instantly when a bet is placed. If you're not a premium member, what the hell are you doing, man? It's $10 a month, week in and week out. We're giving you winning bets, the greatest selection of tools ever needed in this world, at least for betting on UFC fights. What do you, like, literally, What is the holdup? Crazy. Then we have Matt Semelsberger taking on Charlie Radtke. First of all, Matt Semelsberger is only 31 years old. When I put this graphic together, I was like, no, did I mix ththese ages up? It's got to be backwards, right? Dude, I thought Matt Semelsberger was like 38. I thought he was at the end of his career. And not for, like, he's not like slow or anything. He looks a little older. Real man. Real manly man. And he's been around for a while. But he's only 31. Also, while I'm talking about the graphics, these videos, these Sunday morning videos, these get released like before 9 a.m. 99% of the time. Every Sunday, week in and week out, whether there's a fight the week after or not. Whether I drank the night before or didn't. Even if I'm not around on the Sunday, I'll film the video 3 days ahead of time because I know how important they are. And you guys show me the love. The first 30 to 40 comments on this video is always, thank you, Angelo. Hardest working guy. I need this with my coffee, whatever. And I love it. I love to see it. And lately, we've been winning like crazy, so seeing that's the cherry on top. But sometimes we'll have a losing event, and I'll still get love on this video for the timeliness and the effort. Last week, some absolute miserable Muppet, definitely living in his mother's basement, unhappy with his life, goes, why are y'all saying, great job, hardest working guy? All he does is turn on the camera and start blabbering. Let me open your eyes to some shit here. This is a ton of work. First of all, that comment implies that this graphic invented itself. I'm not one of the Tapology boys. I'm not some lazy cheese pocket that has Tapology in the background, just reading the green and red dots, pretending I know what the fuck I'm talking about. These are custom graphics. I type every single thing in this graphic. There are 3 custom graphics for every single fight. We have this one that we use on Sundays. On Tuesdays, we have the one that have the opening odds and the current odds, the DraftKings pricing, and this one, and then a thumbnail. Every single thing is built by Big Ange's hands. Then, that statement also implies the research did itself. I just woke up knowing all these fighters. Even the UFC debuts that nobody's ever heard of, I just knew everything about them. I didn't have to watch tape. I didn't have to take notes. That also implies the website magically updates itself. Yeah, Josh the web guy built the website, designed the website, maintains the website. But I got to put these freaking notes up there. We got to update the bets. So that statement, all he does is click on the camera. That is one of the very few things that'll trigger me because the amount of work that goes into this is like wild. This is 30, 40 hours a week. This is a shit ton of work. So to that guy, he actually was instantly deleted from the channel. I know some of you guys hate that. I will ban people from the channel. If you are overtly negative and I can just instantly tell you're never going to contribute in a meaningful way, you're gone. I don't care if you disagree. That guy I talked about earlier that's like, your take sucks and I'm out of here. I'm not going to ban him. Disagree. I don't care. Disagree with me all day long. Say, bad pick, Ange. Here's why. No problem. But if you're just wildly miserable, internet loser negative, and it's overtly clear this person will never in any way whatsoever contribute in a positive fashion. And that doesn't mean you don't need to be premium. I just mean that person will never have a civil conversation with somebody else. If we're coming off 8 or 9 of the last 10 winning weeks and you still have a negative comment to make, yeah, you're gone. Because you're never going to, what's the point? What is the point of that negativity? I'm not trying to foster that in the comment section. Anyway, you can say, I told you I get triggered. I'm proud of these fucking graphics. Nobody. There's one other dude that started doing graphics after we did, and it looks like he did it in MS Paint in 1996. We got the custom graphics. We're doing the work. Woosa. Matt Semelsberger, 31 years old, taking on Charlie Radtke, 34. Charlie's older here. I was surprised to see that, especially because he's newer in his UFC journey. He's an athletic grappler. He will just lower his level, take shots, immediately work for positions. He's also a powerful striker. So if you've only seen his UFC career and didn't do the hours of research that we have to do for every single fight, every single week, you wouldn't really know that he was such a good grappler because he's had so much success standing in the UFC. On the ground, he is very controlled. He's also dangerous. He will hunt for submissions in transitions. He'll mix his offense and his defense really well on the ground. He will randomly pull a guillotine, chase some other stuff he shouldn't chase. That'll get him out of position. He does also tend to slow as fights goes on, and he can be hittable. But he throws with power. He's very tough, and he's a gamer. He is coming off that KO loss to Carlos Prates, who is headlining this card. He's taking on the always durable, always dangerous, much younger than we thought, Matt Semelsberger. This guy's an aggressive striker. He will march forward. Solid leg kicks, good body work, plenty of power in both his hands and his kicks. He has 10 knockdowns in 10 UFC fights. The marching forward can wilt his opponents. If you don't like pressure, well, good luck, because Matt Semelsberger's bringing it. It could also give him some trouble. It can put him in harm's way because he's just moving forward, bombing away, and leaves himself open to be taken down. He has a 45% takedown defense. He has given up 19 takedowns, 7 of which were in his last fight against Preston Parsons. Matt Semelsberger is always tough. He's never like the most skilled guy, but he's always tough. I think we have more of the same here. I think Charlie's going to land the better shots, get the takedowns, which hopefully we'll start to see more of. And I think he wins this fight. Matt's toughness is going to keep him in here, but I don't see him winning. Radtke's going to be the pick. Minus 147 are his current odds. That actually seems pretty good. And maybe we get lucky enough for a 1.5 round line. If we get a 1.5 round line, I think I'll do the over. They're both pretty tough guys. I don't see one of them just sparking the other. Then we have Mansur Abdul-Malik taking on Dusko Todorovic. This is going to be a fun fight. Mansur, a guy I had to do research on. UFC debut. I didn't just magically wake up with his fights injected into my brain. And I'm glad I did, because I love him and I think he smokes here. But let's break him down anyway. Let me introduce you to Mansur Abdul-Malik. Very good grappler. He has college wrestling experience. And he fights as you would expect a D1 wrestler to fight. He comes forward, he will throw heavy, and then he'll shoot his takedowns. His takedowns are big, they are clean. He does a nice job lifting. He will pick you clean up and then take you back to the ground. He has great control on the ground. He'll flow very nicely. He also has great elbows, and he will work on top. He's not just hanging out. He is looking to finish. He's taking on Dusko Todorovic. This guy's a technical striker. He's got good power, but he also has takedowns and offensive BJJ. He's pretty well-rounded. He's a high-volume guy who lands almost 6 significant strikes per minute, but there are definitely questions about his chin. He's coming off that freak knee injury loss to Christian Leroy Duncan about a year ago. I love Mansur in this spot. I love the high-level wrestling experience. I will always favor wrestlers. I love the explosiveness. I love the fact that he works when he's on top. He's not just hanging out, racking up minutes. He's doing damage. He's a decent favorite at minus 330, but I'm as confident in him as you could possibly be in a UFC debut. Mansur is the clear pick. I think he's safe to parlay. I have a parlay with him. I do not recommend, guys, every freaking week I see a comment. Oh, I had 28 of my 400 leg parlay all hit. This guy screwed it. I think you can parlay him, but put him in one. Don't put him in 5 different parlays, especially a UFC debut. I'm trying to teach here, guys. You can't overly expose. You can't do it you can't be pulling out trench coats and overexpose yourself in real life. Bring that same logic to betting. Don't overly expose yourself. Don't have the same person in more than one parlay. These are fist fights. Anything can happen. Please, I'm pleading with you. Then we have Elizeu Zaleski taking on the weird breathing Nicolas Dalby. Nicolas Dalby is 39 years old, but you wouldn't know that with his fight style and his ability to breathe like a maniac. He's a karate-style striker, so he's got that big, long, wide stance. He stays mobile. He'll switch stances back and forth. I keep mentioning those insane breathing techniques, and if you haven't noticed it, he's like just listen, and it's crazy. But it works for him because he has ridiculous cardio. He's got a good amount of power as well, but he can be hittable himself. He averages more than 1 takedown per fight, but he does he has a low 27% takedown accuracy. His striking is okay. His grappling is okay. All in all, he's a well-rounded guy who will work hard. Not particularly dangerous, but he's not going anywhere. He's an absolute dog. He does get dropped if you can land some power. He's coming off that close decision loss to Rinat Fakhretdinov, where he gave up 5 takedowns. Elizeu Zaleski is a solid striker. He's got real power, athleticism. He can be dangerous on the ground. He's very busy, and he has an active striking style where he is constantly moving. He has real power, real athleticism, real cardio, and that makes him a pretty dangerous guy. He's coming off that loss to Randy Brown where he had all the takedowns, but just couldn't hang in the striking here. And I get people picking Nicolas Dalby. Tapology had it at it was like 80% of people on Tapology picked Nicolas Dalby. He's an absolute dog. And even though he's 40, he's like 39 and 11 months or some shit. So let's just say he's 40. And even though he's 40, he hasn't really looked 40. But the reality is he is almost 40. He's also a little bit chinny. He has been officially knocked down 6 times in the UFC, with many others, like in the Renat fight, where he was cracked, looked like a knockdown to us, but it wasn't officially recorded as one. Nicolas Dalby, in theory, should be able to weather the storm and take over later with the crazy breathing noises, but Zaleski is dangerous on the feet. He can work a wrestling game plan. I'm actually going to pick Zaleski here, but he's also no spring chicken at 37, so likely just going to keep my money, maybe 3.5. I'm probably just going to leave this alone. I understand picking Dalby. I'm not going to die on this hill. I'm looking at my sheet with all my notes. The confidence next to Zaleski pick is low. Not all picks are the same. Don't come at me being like, but you missed this pick. Not all picks are the same, right? I just told you friggin' Mansur Abdul-Malik, very confident in. Not as confident in Zaleski. So handle that accordingly. I just think Zaleski can make something happen. He's got the heavier hands. I think he can get a takedown or two. My only concern is the freaking cardio. So we're going to need Zaleski to win the first 2 rounds because he's definitely going to lose the third. But let's see what happens. Hopefully the odds take off for Dalby and we can do a plus 3.5, and then we just need Zaleski to win 1 round. We don't even need him to win 2. Before we hit this main card, let me hit your wallet with $50. Go to WeWantPicks.com/bets. We have affiliate links for a bunch of different sports books. Click the link, make an account, make a deposit. We send you $50 as a thank you. It's affiliate marketing. It's literally that simple. You use the link, you make an account, they're going to pay me. Then I'm going to slice off some of that money and give it right back to you. We get hundreds of these a week. So if you have submitted, you have to submit a claim form. This way we can look up your account, make sure the link was used and it's not fake, right? We get hundreds of these a week. A bunch of them are bullshit. Like people just typing in nonsense numbers, hoping that money shows up in their account. If you have submitted one, you didn't get paid yet, reach out, let me know. We're just grinding through the ridiculous amount of requests. Here's a look at those last 10 events. I opened this like breaking down the last event, the UFC Edmonton. Successful night. ROI, again, is the most important number. Here's some perspective. And if you don't believe what I'm about to say, Google it. If you're a professional, which I am by no means a professional gambler. If you are a professional sports bettor, a professional gambler, and is on this side of the house, not craps, a lifetime or a yearly, an annual, a long-term ROI of 10% is insane. Like, it's insane. The books will stop taking your money. Jakey Boy and I have ridiculous long-term success. This chart is just me over the last 10 events. 27% ROI over the last 10 events. If you don't know what ROI is, it's return on investment. It's you spend A, you get B in return, and here's the percentage return on the investment you made with A. And that's why it's such an important number, because let's say I came in here and I bet 500 units, and you watch these videos. I bet 500 units. I earned 2 units, and I'm like, yeah, we're up 2 units. The problem is you don't have 500 units to bet, right? So it's unrealistic for you to tail those bets to get that 2-unit return. Luckily for you, let's look at the numbers on the units out column here. 4, 2.5, 4.5, 3.75, 4. I'm a normal, reasonable human being. I'm betting low amounts. I'm winning consistently week in and week out, and the 27% ROI shows that. In the last 10 events, 9 of them have been plus money. 9.9 units of net profit, basically 1 unit per event. I mean, if that's not consistently, I don't know what is. Unlock the bets, the picks, and everything else for an entire freaking month for $10 a month. And I'm not going to trash specific people because I don't want to create an environment where it's okay to just shit on each other and whatever. But there are people there are people out there charging $100 a month, $150 a month for bets that don't win. Oh, guys, another bad week. But I made money over the last, if you zoom out and look at the last 150 years, I am up. So it's okay that we had another bad week. And that, I know you're like, become a member. It's not just bets though. I could remove every single bet and you're still going to have the best value in this space. You're going to get tools like the data analyzer. We coded this from the ground up. DraftKings Optimal, all the bullshit. It's crazy. Go to the website, sign up. And if you want to send something for mail day, I showed this earlier. Here's some of the letters. I love getting the letters. I love it. Obviously, getting the gifts are amazing. Riff Raff sent us those incredible Venom jackets. Those are beautiful. So I love that stuff, obviously. But the letters are great, too, because I just love reading people's thoughts. And lots of times we'll get letters like heading into an event with their predictions, and it's always cool to watch the fights after that. We want picks, P.O. Box 406 in Prosper, Texas, 75078. Let's open up this main card, and we're going to do it with Luana Pinheiro taking on Jillian Robertson. This should be an interesting fight. It should be pretty straightforward, though. We got Luana Pinheiro. Jesus. My eyes and my brain are faster than my mouth. We got Luana Pinheiro, powerful. That's where Luana Pinheiro came from. Luana Pinheiro, powerful striker. Solid takedowns, good BJJ. She averages a little more than 2 takedowns per fight, has no problem swinging wild while running forward. She is a high-volume fighter with knockdowns in a third of her UFC fights. And for women fights at 125 pounds, that's an impressive statistic. She's coming off that loss to Angela Hill, though, where she was somehow finished by the least dangerous fighter on the roster. I'm always going to be angry about that because I had the over 2.5 in the safety. She's taking on Jillian Robertson. Jillian Robertson is a grappler. She averages a little more than 2.5 takedowns herself. She also has 9 submission wins. And in fact, that is the most amount of finish wins in the flyweight division. She has the all-time record for most finishes in this division. Her ability to get women to the ground and submit them is very important because her striking is not good enough to hang in most fights. In fact, I would venture to say that anybody with pretty good takedown defense and good striking will beat her. She's coming off that decision win over a retiring karate hottie. And in theory, Luana Pinheiro has decent takedown defense and solid striking. So she should be able to beat Jillian Robertson. But in execution, we just saw her get mollywopped by Angela Hill. And MMA math does not always work, but if the least dangerous woman in the division is able to submit you on the ground, then the most dangerous woman in the division will be able to submit you on the ground. Jillian Robertson has to be the pick here. That has to be the only logical conclusion that you could draw. So Jillian Robertson's the pick. Simple. Done. Got you there. Then we have Gerald Meerschaert taking on UFC newcomer Rainier de Ridder. And I want to say Riddler. You look at that and your brain is like Riddler. But it's not. It's Ridder. Anyway, Gerald Meerschaert. We know this guy by now. Yeah, he looks like a retired fireman. Sure. He's got a side gig putting up Christmas lights. Cooking in the bunkhouse with the boys. These are mustache references, by the way. But he's also a very solid grappler. He's always live for a submission. He's not great on the feet. People will question his chin, but he's tough. He's not going to quit on himself. His chin might quit, but he won't quit. He's an incredibly talented grappler. But like so many others, like the Aaron Blanchfields of the world, he doesn't have very good offensive wrestling. So even though he does average a little over 2 takedowns per fight, he has a very low 36% takedown accuracy. He is coming off the most typical Gerald Meerschaert fight you're ever going to see. Got his ass kicked. Somehow survived, got a takedown and won by submission. He's taking on Rainier de Ridder. This guy is a former 2-division champion in ONE FC, the middleweight and the light heavyweight champion. He's a solid grappler as well with good takedowns, great submissions. He is a very tall guy for this division at 6'4", and he's built for MMA. He's got that ridiculously long arm, long leg body. He will strike, but it's not very clean. He definitely thrives on the ground, and he seems a bit out of sorts on the feet if you're there for a little too long. In fact, that is how he lost both of his ONE FC belts to the same person. He could not get takedowns and couldn't hang on the feet with a much more powerful striker. But his jiu-jitsu is dangerous. He's basically the next evolution of Gerald. He's got that same very good, very high level, very dangerous BJJ, but much better takedowns. Neither one of these guys have spectacular striking, but Rainier uses his length really well, and he can hang with anybody on the ground. He should win here. He is the pick, but Gerald is the comeback king for a reason. He takes his beating, he somehow survives and pulls it off. I am looking forward to this fight. I'm hoping we're going to get some really high-level grappling scrambles, and it's not just some weird, boring bullshit because they're both too good to do anything, but Rainier is going to be the pick. I think the UFC matched him up this way on purpose. So, yeah, probably going to bet on him. Then we have the always fun, always big, the always moving forward, Ricky Tercios taking on Bernardo Sopai. RIP from that last fight. Ricky Tercios, very fun, high-pressure fighter. He will throw anything from anywhere. He's going to smile while he's doing it. In half of his UFC fights, he has landed more than 100 significant strikes, and there's a loss in that mix. He doesn't have much to offer outside of the high volume, high pace because he's got a low 25% takedown accuracy, a sub 50% takedown defense, and he is coming off that second round submission loss to Shiwiwi. But he actually looked pretty good early in that fight before not. He's taking on Bernardo Sopai. He's a fast-paced, high-energy striker as well. He has some power for his size, and he's got incredible speed. He's constantly moving forward while staying light on his feet. When he sees openings, he's going to explode into combinations. He's got solid takedown defense as well, good hips. And we just saw solid takedown offense in his UFC debut against Vinicius Oliveira. What we also saw in Bernardo's UFC debut was one of the most vicious knockouts ever. I actually hate that he's coming back so quickly because that was the type of knockout that is permanently going to change your chin and your ability to absorb damage. Bernardo probably should have taken a year off. He's a young guy at 24. He's a very talented guy. Coming back that quick after, that was a vicious knockout. And a fight that he was doing really well in. A vicious knockout. Coming back too soon can do irreversible damage. And if Ricky hit harder, I would be very worried here. Because that KO was just 7 months ago. But he doesn't. So Bernardo's going to be the pick. Because I think he's literally just the better fighter. Obviously, Ricky's pace can be a problem for a lot of people. We don't have odds yet. This is another newly added fight without odds. If Bernardo is a dog, I'm probably going to bet on him. But I don't know if he's going to be a dog here or not. Because he is the more talented of the two. Maybe that ridiculous knockout is going to trick some people into thinking he sucks. Because he does not suck. And again, if he's a dog, I'm going to bet him. Then we have Karolina Kowalkiewicz taking on Denise Gomes. Karolina Kowalkiewicz is a staple in this division. She's been in this division for well over 10 years, I believe. And she's been fighting at a high level in this division for well over 10 years. She's a good kickboxer. She's got solid technique and good grit. She averages almost 6 significant strikes per minute, and she has maintained a solid 73% takedown defense. She has had a long career with a lot of ups and downs. It wasn't too long ago that she fought for a title. Shortly after that, she hit a 4-fight losing skid. More recently, a 4-fight winning streak. That did, however, just come crashing down in her last fight when she lost to Eisman Lucindo and she started to look old and slow in the process. She's taking on Denise Gomes. Denise Gomes is a striker who can grapple as well. She can be hittable, but she's incredibly tough and she's never out of a fight. She's going to continue to come forward, bite down, bomb away. It takes her a few minutes to get going. She's a slow starter, but once she is dialed in, she picks up the pace. She has no problem taking one to give one. She works in kicks really well, and she can be dangerous on the ground. She's coming off that decision win over Eduarda Moura, where she gave up 5 takedowns, but she dominated the striking. And in general, women can have longer careers than men. For the most part, we've seen a lot of that with Karolina. She was 38 years old for a big chunk of that 4-fight win streak that she just lost. But she is finally starting to look older and slower. And somebody like Denise can absolutely exploit that. She's fast. She's powerful. She is willing to wrestle if she needs to. I think Denise wins here unless Karolina somehow fights the same way that she did when she fought Angela Hill. A lot of distance striking, takedowns. Gomes is the pick, but the 5-1 odds are obscene. That's criminal. 5-1 odds is like nuts. Who has she beaten to be a 5-1 favorite over a pretty durable, well-experienced Karolina? Nobody. The answer is no. I'm going to answer it for you. Nobody. She hasn't beaten anybody that would indicate she should be a 5-1 favorite. Dude, there are human beings on this planet that think they know what they're doing. They're going to lay out $500 on Denise to win 100. And yeah, they might win because she should win. That's why she's the favorite. And I just picked her to win. But sometimes the juice is not worth the squeeze. I'm not risking $500 freaking dollars. That's crazy. Denise wins, 5-1 favorite is obscene. Obscene. Then we got the co-main event. Cody Garbrandt taking on Miles Johns. Cody Garbrandt, if you're new here, let me remind you, former world champion. He has had some highs and lows in the last 5 years. Phenomenal boxer. Fantastic footwork. He has some very real power. When he is on and he's dialed in, he's unbelievable. And we always have to reference this win over Dominic Cruz. because that was just the peak Cody Garbrandt. It has been a steep drop-off since then. But what we saw in that fight was phenomenal footwork, well-timed takedowns, good defensive striking. The problem is when he's off, he's throwing punches wild, his chin is in the air, he's begging to be knocked out, and he does get knocked out. He's coming off that grappling and submission loss to Deiveson Figueiredo at UFC 300. He's taking on Miles Johns. Miles Johns is a good, strong wrestler with heavy hands and explosive speed. He seems to have a love-hate relationship with his wrestling because at one point, it was the core of everything he did. But then he found some power in his hands. He abandoned the wrestling and started sitting on overhand rights. But he seems to be headed back in the right direction. He's coming off his 4th win in a row, this time a striking win over Douglas Silva de Andrade. First of all, I cannot believe that Cody Garbrandt is only 33. He feels like a 38-year-old, right? At the tail end of his career. I feel like he's been past his prime for 5 years now, and that's crazy. And that's the unfortunate reality of an MMA chin. There's a lot of things involved in being good at MMA. You have to know how to wrestle, strike, grapple. You have to be in phenomenal shape. You have to have the mental fortitude to prepare for 6 weeks to get into a cage to fist fight somebody in front of the world. That's a lot of shit. And you can control almost all of that. You can control how hard you work. You can control your skills, what you're working on. You can control if you run and you're in shape. What you can't control is your chin. That just is what it is. Some people have great ones. Some people have terrible ones. You cannot control your chin. And the unfortunate reality is Cody Garbrandt's chin got tested a little too early in his career, came back a little too fast, never recovered. So the fact that he's only 33 is crazy. That was the first of all. Second of all, I was tricked into thinking that Cody Garbrandt has high-level wrestling that worked both offensively and defensively. And the lie detector test determined that was a lie. Therefore, I'm keeping this simple. Miles Johns is the pick because if he wants to wrestle, he can. If he wants to land big power, he can. Cody will always have the talent buried somewhere inside of him, but that chin is long gone, and I believe so is the fire that keeps him going. He doesn't seem like he's the guy that's like, I'm going to work my way back to the belt. He doesn't seem to be fighting the same way. I think Miles Johns is going to get it done. I threw a half a unit on him at minus 135. And then we have the main event of the evening. Neil Magny taking on Carlos Prates. Carlos Prates, first main event. And he got here pretty quick. And it's a tricky fight because he's taking on Neil Magny. Is Neil Magny the best fighter in the division? No, of course not. Does he have the best hair in the division? He might. He's an incredibly well-rounded guy. He seems to be the UFC's go-to guy when it comes to getting older vets competitive matchups or testing young prospects. In this case, he's the go-to guy to test the young prospect. He's very tough. He's very experienced. He's skilled everywhere. But he's mostly a busy striker. He does have solid grappling, phenomenal cage control. He'll average more than 2 takedowns per fight. He is 22-11 in the UFC. He has fought a who's who of the division. He is coming off that KO loss to Michael Morales, where he came in with a wrestle-heavy game plan, but then was ultimately cracked. And getting cracked is going to be tricky here because he's taking on Carlos Prates. This guy's a dangerous striker with big power, good range control. Pretty light on his feet. He manages to throw kicks to any body part whenever he wants to. He'll launch head kicks at the drop of a dime. He'll throw spinning kicks, and he will defend most takedowns that come his way. His power, his accuracy, absolutely insane. He's coming off that knockout win over Jing Lang, where everyone said Jing Lang can't be knocked out. And Carlos was like, bet. How about me knowing how to use bet and using it correctly? Can I get credit for that? 4-year-old Ange said bet, and he actually used it in the perfect context. He's wearing a cool young guy hat. He's got the cool young guy, young LA clothes. I mean, if I'm not the pinnacle of youth, I don't know what is. Prates is on an incredible 9-fight knockout win streak, and this fight is going to make it 10. Sure, Neil has miles more experience. It's not even close, their experience level. Like the records, Prates has 26 fights. Nah, they're very different. Neil Magny's got well over 30 fights in the UFC at the highest level. The experience, that check is in the Magny box. But I just don't see how he's going to win this fight. If he can somehow wrestle without being hit, maybe. But I just can't see him doing that. Prates is too accurate, Too good a footwork to get caught in a sloppy takedown from a mile and a half away. Neal's going to need to slow this pace, eliminate the range, get this fight against the cage. But that is a very hard thing to do. Carlos Prates is the pick. The odds do seem to be long gone, though. Maybe they'll start to correct themselves. Maybe so many people have been slaughtered. Not us. We're up 9 of the last 10 cards. But what is happening in this space is all your favorite cappers are getting their asses kicked. And now they're chasing unreasonable dogs for no reason. Go look at the amount of plus money random dogs that your favorite cappers are throwing in the parlays and betting on. And that's because they are all down big on the year. So they're just chasing. Not us. Jakey Boy and I are up. Here's a look at last card. UFC Edmonton was last night. 33% combined return on your investment. Just Jakey Boy, who's all of his bets, basically, are premium, gave you 41% return on your investment. I gave you 14. The light yellow, if you're looking at this chart, you're new here. White means the bet missed. Green means it hit. The light yellow means it was refunded. So Jack Shore under 2 takedowns. Well, he had 2 takedowns. So that's a wash. That's a push. Aaron Blanchfield inside the distance decision, no action. There was a decision. So no action. That bet was refunded. That's why there's zeros on the out and the in. The blue, that's the safety parlay. It was Youssef. It was Jasmine. Safety parlay 4 weeks in a row at plus money. I don't want to jinx it. But if you want to unlock everything that we do, it's $10 a month. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top. If you've been a premium member, well, you're welcome. 9.9 units over the last 10 events. Just from me. That's just from Big Ange. 9-1 plus money events. 27% return on your investment. If you're not premium, become. You're going to get things like the data analyzer, the line movement tracker, the prop hunter, the DraftKings optimizer, preloaded with the best ownership projections. And you're going to get Jacob, of course, Artem, giving you regional stuff. Pick GPT, that's the artificial intelligence, giving you picks and breakdowns. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top. It's only $10 for an entire month. And you want that 50. WeWantPicks.com/bets. Use the link, sign up, make the deposit. Guys, again, I appreciate every last one of you. I don't know how more to express that, but I do. Thank you so much.